Welcome. I'm Ellen Cahill as part of the Ohio EdTech's online learning with Google Classroom. This session is going to focus on interactive learning, interactive lessons using Google Slides and the add-on Pear Deck. I have a lot to show you. We're going to look at what it looks like on the teacher side versus the student, how you can look and observe what students are responding, how they're answering the questions that you're posing in your presentation, as well as how you can give them feedback and look at some premium features that are now made free because of the COVID-19 crisis. So let me go ahead and present. I'm using Google Meet. And so this can be used in a synchronous setting. So if you are wanting to go ahead and use this in real time, you can go ahead and do that. And what's nice and why teachers really like using this in the classroom is that all the students are on the same slide that you're on. So if you are in this situation where you have some video conferencing going on and you want to build some background knowledge, or you want to kind of do some formative assessment on some work that they might have been doing independently, you can do that in a Google Meet like I'm doing right now. You could also do this in an asynchronous, or just go ahead and post it in Google Classroom, a link, and in student pace mode, students can go ahead and work on these slides at the same time. Now, if you'd like to have a copy of our presentation, go ahead and put this in a browser, and you can follow along and have all the live links in real time, so you can kind of go off and kind of explore some different resources that I've embedded into this slide deck. Also, too, if you want to reach out to me, here's my email address, and I'm happy to hear from you. And I think we're looking at going to be having some office hours. So if you want to have some direct access to some folks, we can work together on that. So getting started with this is that it really is a way in which you can activate, engage, and help students be more reflective in real time, and they have tangible assets to kind of use and be able to collect in their drive. As a part of this that I alluded to earlier, you get free premium features. And so when you click on this, it's going to go ahead, and even if you just go to peardeck.com, you're going to get there. But you can request either individual access or district-wide access. And those premium features are going to be the ones in which are really going to help you when you're using this in Google Classroom. So those are the ones that would put Pear Deck in a student pace mode, so students can go through each of the slides and answer questions that you pose on the slides on their own time. Or you can also have access to the teacher dashboard, so you can observe and watch what students are doing, as well as the student takeaways. So we'll cover all of those in this session. And if you would, is that when we go in and we log in and sign up, we're just going to go ahead to do that. You're going to see that you have this launch page. And so on this launch page, you'll have access to the home, all the sessions that you have going on. So if you have multiple sections in a high school or middle school, if you're working with even some different grade levels on different, you might have a math lesson going on in addition to a reading lesson going on. You can have a variety of sessions open. There isn't any limit to the number of sessions you have. And then also the help support thing. So when you go to peardeck.com, I'm going to go ahead. You're going to see that you can get that add-on, add in interactive slides based on this slide tool that'll be on the right side, and be able to present from using this add-on. So what I want to go ahead and do is take you, and I'm going to go to peardeck.com. And when you go there, first time, they're going to want to know all your Google account information. So go ahead through all the things and allow them to see that. You're going to see on this launch page, they have some different features that they're promoting. This Newsella is really impressive, and Newsella is so happy with the partnership with Pear Deck. They found that students who are using Pear Deck are being able to achieve at higher levels, showing higher comprehension. So that's a pretty powerful thing, and I'll show you a link to that. But you're going to want to go ahead and do the teacher login, and it'll come in. And you'll see that there'll be ways in which you can go ahead and create a prompt. It's just one question. So if you were in Google Meet and you wanted to pose a question and all of a sudden something came up, I wanted to go ahead and say, you know what, I want to get some feedback, or I kind of want to see what some of those misconceptions might be, or let's say I want to just kind of wrap up a lecture that I may have had. I can go ahead and invite my students via the Google Classroom. So they would open up another tab. They would go to their Google Classroom. I could click on this. I'm going to go ahead and select which class I want to go ahead and invite. And the students would automatically have that link posted on that launch page to your Google Classroom. You could also give students a link. You can also have this prompt saying, I'm going to give this as homework for you. So I'm going to say, I got that, close the join code. I click on my 3 more buttons at the bottom. That's next to the word end. I'm going to move this up just a little bit so you can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Turn on Student Paste. When I do that, I go ahead and got it. I'm going to go ahead and sign that. You can see I'm in student paste mode, no one, and I've got 3 students who are on this page. I can go ahead and expand that. So if kids going, wait a minute, I didn't see it, I want to go ahead and put this link in here. But I can also go ahead and basically what I want to do here is I want to show you what students are going to see. So I give the students a link, I copy it, and I can be a teacher and also as a student see what the students see. And it's a little bit different version. And you're going to see the sandbox, because in mine, you're like, I don't see the stuff that kids are using in order to fill this out. How do they do this, Ellen? Well, this is what they see. They can go ahead and they can double click on this, and they can go ahead and say, I really liked the visuals that you were showing. What was easy, feedback, quick, was easy, give. They can do that. They can also draw something and go, okay, well, I'll tell you what was really hard. I can go ahead and have a pencil, and I can go ahead and go, well, you know what? It was the writing and the drawing that was really, really hard. I wasn't able to do that very well. So they could kind of go ahead and do that. If you want to go ahead and erase something, erase that. They can do that as well and retry. And you can see that. And when I'm in my presentation mode, I can go here and I can show the responses, and I can see what other people are doing. I have 3 different features here. I can have a grid layout. I can have an overview where I can have all of the students' responses kind of stacked up. There'll be some better questions for better than that. And you can kind of go ahead and show that. Now in this version, I do not, it's all anonymous, so students' responses are up there, and so that's really good for some kids who might be a little hesitant to give a response, and so that's just kind of a nice way to get more present or more participation from students and kind of see that. So again, when I go back here, that's just a prompt, but what I really want to kind of show you is how we can go ahead and use a whole slide deck. And so when I go here, I can start from scratch, create a lesson. Or they have some of the slide presentations that you have already built kind of loaded in here. So if I go ahead and I want to just go ahead and click right straight from here, it'll go ahead and open it up for me. So if I wanted to go ahead and make this one interactive, I could go ahead and edit it in Google Slides, and you'll see that. I want to go ahead, though, and use this because it has a whole variety of questions that you can kind of see and just kind of take you here. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to build a deck for you. And this is just a Google Slides. You can go into your Drive and get your Google Slides from here as well. You don't have to be on that launch page in order to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and look at this presentation here. And what's nice about Pear Deck is it has a whole bunch of really awesome templates that you can just go ahead and add at the quick. And so let's say here is that, you know what, I'm just going to double check and see if those kids are doing their reading assignments. I've got them all, so they picked out an online book from the library and they're all reading. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to add in kind of a bell ringer for them as we get started and collect there, just as a kind of an update. And I have in here the basically the sidebar here. So I went to my add-ons and I had Pear Deck for add-ons. If you do not have that, you could go ahead down here. If you don't see this up here, when you've logged in and added an account, you should get it. But just in case you don't, or you skip that, you don't have to go to the home page. You can just go ahead and click on that, go through the allow and all this, and it'll go ahead and show up for you. So go ahead, and I just want to take that one more time so you can kind of see, because you got to kind of figure out where it is. You go to add-ons, go to Pear Deck, open up the Pear Deck, and here comes that feature that shows me how I can go into these templates. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on that. I want a beginning of a lesson here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to open in this dragon one. You have so many different templates to add in, but to know that because it's a template, you still have that flexibility to edit anything on here. So if I want to go and say, how was the independent reading? And go ahead and add that. And that'll be kind of a slide right there. All right. I could also go in and there are subjects. So I have some critical thinking. So if you wanted to kind of get some deeper learning going on, if you want to kind of do a stress test on kids, or if kids are kind of feeling overwhelmed by something, you can see I've got different templates that I can use with littles. And let's say I want to go ahead and add in this one where it's adding it in. I think there's a lot of images on it, so it might take a little bit. Kind of comes in here, and you can kind of see how kids can draw on the slide with everything starting with a B. If I wanted to go ahead and maybe edit that so it's a small b, I can go ahead and do that. I can also take a slide that does not have anything on it, and I can go, what types of questions do you think engage students best? Well, let's just go ahead and ask that question. I can go back. I've used a slide I've already made, but to make that interactive, so students have to write on it, I can go ahead and pose one of these questions here, and I'm just going to go ahead and make that a text. I could add in a multiple choice. The students write their response, and it's going to go ahead and be one of those where the students are writing. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, Ellen, this looks really kind of interesting, but I don't get how students are really getting the interactive part on it, what it is that I have to do. So just to take you from step one, I go to add-ons. I go to insert, or I go to Pear Deck for Google Slide add-on. I add the Pear add-on, and I go ahead and present. So when I go ahead and present, just like with that prompt I showed you earlier, I'm going to give you kind of another example on how we go ahead and give the students the link. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to invite a class. Invite the students with this section. Now, if you want to go ahead and try this, I'll keep this session open. You, as just kind of observer to this webinar, go ahead and open in your browser, joinpd.com, and then they'll want a code, and you just type in this code. You'll have access to this slide deck, and you can experience this as a student because I've included like 54 slides on here to kind of show you just a wealth of different information. But just to kind of honor the time frame here that we're given, I'm going to go ahead and invite my class. Again, I'm going to add in my online learner group. And you're going to see that in my online class, I've posted a new assignment here. And so in this, the students are going to go ahead and they're going to see that they have the link that's going to take them to this presentation. They go ahead and feel there. And so you don't have to shepherd them. You don't have to wait. So you're going to go ahead and be able to kind of see what students are doing. Now, when you go in and you're presenting this, a really important thing to remember is you are going to have to go ahead. Let's open up our dashboard. It's going to give me a couple prompts here. Once I got it, I can use my phone and use that as kind of a presentation thing. I want to go here to those three dots and turn on student paste. When I go on turn on student paste, this link that you've given them, you can see that they are going to go ahead and be able to use this in student paste and do that. And I have what you are seeing right here is called the presentation session. And I've gone here and you can see that I have my dashboard. So you can see that I have all the slides here, and I can also see what kids are doing in real time on that slide. So let me go back to the presentation that I've added in, and I'm going to go ahead and give a link so that you can see what students are seeing. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm a student here. See, I can see myself as a student, so you can do this. You can be logged in at the same time as a teacher and as a student. And if you are doing that, you can go ahead and fill out all the answers, and your takeaway becomes the key. You can have that as kind of like your answer key. So you can see that that's what a drag looks like, dragging the icon. Here's what a drawing would look like. I have this where I could go ahead and I could use red, and I can draw all the things that are going to be the B. And when I go back here, let's see another one. Well, here's a highlight by doing. So the students have this text field on the side. This is what a multiple choice would look like. So you can see that students are going to be experiencing this. I can drag over my. So if you want to go ahead and use that link to kind of get into the presentation, look at that. You can go ahead and experience all the slides in there and kind of see what that looks like. So to kind of wrap up, that's how you would do this in an asynchronous way. You make sure that you want to make sure that you present that lesson. You pull down in your add-on to make sure you get this, open up the sidebar. So you're able to present and click on this and present. You can do this. A how-to video is here on this bit.ly, so it will tell you how you can kind of go ahead and do it on a Zoom. Here is student pace mode. So if you click on this link, it's going to take you to step by step what that looks like, but you'll know you're in student paced when you're presenting when you've got this. And how you get to that is by going to these 3 more buttons. Click on that, open up student pace so that kids can see this presentation whenever they have access to the computer. You can observe students in the teacher dashboard. So when I go in here and I open up my teacher dashboard, got it. You can see that I can show responses, but I can also go in and look at who has answered the question. So you can see that when you're in your dashboard, so this is the presentation mode over here, and I'm clicking over there and kind of going through here. But when I go in and I'm looking at my dashboard in a new view, you can see which students have answered the questions and how they're feeling on this. And you will know I've got 3 students who haven't responded to that. All right. I can change the view. I can have a grid layout, so I'll have all my students in a row down here. I could list it. I can go through. And so if I wanted to kind of grade students, I can go through each slide and look at that to grade them. Or when I go ahead and end this session, remember, you don't want to end the session because this is the only time you can get those takeaways. So when I end the session, it's going to want me to say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and yes, I'm sure I want to go ahead. And this is going to be on 3/16. And this is where I would go with publish the student takeaways. If you wanted to grade these first and not publish the student takeaways right away, if you wanted to go in and into your drive to where all the takeaways are and grade those, you may not want to publish that. Go ahead and save and end these. And what happens is the students will get their takeaways. They'll have all their answers that they've given to the slides, and I can go ahead and share that into my Google Classroom. I'll make it as an announcement. Go ahead and hit go. And there it goes. So if I want to go ahead and I could say, please look at comments. And you're ready to go. Okay. And I don't want to go ahead and view that. So that is kind of the student dashboard where you can kind of see that. I've gone ahead and shown you how you can end the session. What you have in your drive is these takeaways. And this is what I want to kind of show you is that when I go into my drive, and I go into my organized folders, you automatically, as soon as you start using Pear Deck, you're going to have a folder that's going to have all your decks that you have kind of made in here. And when you go to these takeaways, you're going to see that I have my share the deck. Let's say I've got my Pear Pop here, the KWL. If I wanted to go ahead, you can see, and that's going to be one of the students. This is Bill Mooney. And so you can see that this is the slide. You can go ahead and have something where the kids are going to go ahead and put in their response, or they can use this note under here. So that is in, and that's what you just sent at the end when you end the session. So that's an awful lot. I know I was kind of flying through that. It's just such a powerful tool. But what I want to say is that in the slide deck, you'll have a lot of recaps. And if you want to go ahead and use this pair for your code for PD and to get this sample deck that I've gone ahead and made, and you can kind of play around with that, you'll have that there. So anyway, I hope you have great success, you stay healthy, and thank you so much for sticking with us today. Bye-bye.